Yo, what's up guys? Andrew here from WP4.church, where we have tutorials and tools and resources for churches that use WordPress to power their website. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at a backup solution that I prefer for the websites that I work with. And then we'll mention a few others towards the end, probably just one that I like and use and trust. But before we jump in, I just want to convey the absolute necessity of backups. It's crazy how many times I work with any organization that has broken their website and they say, hey, can you fix this? And I go in and my first question is, well, do you have a backup that we can restore and start from there? And most of the time it's, no, we don't have a backup, or we tried our host backup and it was messed up too. And so I just want to really drive that point home. If you don't have some structure in place for backups on your WordPress website, this is a great opportunity. When this tutorial is done, log into your website, add these tools, get it done, have the peace of mind that comes with knowing that your website is securely backed up off-site, so that nothing is going, when something explodes, you can put all the pieces back together without worrying about how is this going to look once I'm finished. I use a tool called All-in-One Migration. It's a horrible name because it sounds like you're just migrating sites, but really it's a great and solid backup plugin. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the dashboard and we're going to start just by installing the plugin here. So I'm going to go to Plugins, Add New, and I'm going to search for All-in-One Migration. And I'm going to install this plugin now. Now, once it's installed and activated, I am going to activate the Dropbox extension that I use. But you can go to this website, servemass.com, and you can see there's several other storage solutions. I know a lot of you guys use something like Amazon S3 for storing your sermon audio, so maybe it makes sense for you to grab this S3 extension and use it instead of the Dropbox extension. I prefer Dropbox. But this is also important because I don't know. I don't like having to pay for the same thing over and over again. I get the value of subscriptions. I'm subscribed to tons of other tools. But for this one, what I appreciate is that it's a one-time cost. So instead of paying X amount of dollars for a backup solution every year on a yearly license, I can buy this Dropbox extension one time. And it includes any updates, any security patches, all that jazz. And the other cool thing about this is that the free version of the plugin is capped at like 400, 500 megabytes. Let's go see real quick. So it's capped at 512. Yeah. Well, at any rate, it has a cap on how much you can upload or import, the size of the backup. And let's be honest, most of you guys, most of my sites are not 500 megabytes because a lot of them have media involved, documents involved. They have years and years and years of stuff built into the website unless we start fresh with a new one. And so having the extension here removes the, it says unlimited extension included, and that removes the necessity of having a smaller website if you want to maintain your backups. So I'm going to jump into plugins. I've already uploaded the all-in-one extension for Dropbox here. I'm going to activate that. I'm going to clear my cache because I hate seeing that thing all the time. You probably noticed there's a lot of plugins. It's because we do a lot of testing, and so a lot more plugins than I would really recommend. And all those plugins and testing also mean that security and backups are important for this website as well, which is why we trust All-in-One to do it. And so first I'm going to go to Dropbox Settings. This is where, let me sign out. This is where you connect your Dropbox account to the All-in-One Dropbox extension. And what it does when you link your account for the first time, it creates a folder for your website. Correction, it creates an all-in-one folder, and then inside that folder, it creates a folder for this website. So that means if you are using all-in-one migration Dropbox extension on several sites, then they're all going to have their own folders in that all-in-one folder in your Dropbox. So let's go ahead and link our Dropbox account. Probably if if I hadn't already connected and like I was already using this, obviously I like disconnected and uninstalled and reinstalled so that I can make this tutorial. But your first time doing this, when you connect, you'll have to sign in. It doesn't magically know how to log into your Dropbox, because that's scary. The next thing I want to do is go to Dropbox Backup, scroll down so I can configure the backup plan. I have mine late all the time. I don't want the backup bandwidth to interfere with any traffic the website's getting. The next thing I do is I schedule a backup for every week on my website. Some of you may want to do every day. It's really up to you. The only thing I wish that All-in-One has, or All-in-One doesn't have, is I wish it had like a separate ability to back up the site weekly and then back up the database every day. I think that's important, especially if you have like e-commerce or your church sells merch, something along those lines. Other solutions like Updraft Plus, which is a yearly subscription, I find it to be more buggy, but I also find that it has more options like that where I can schedule the backup of the entire site and the backup of the database separately. Fingers crossed that All-in-One adds that. Or fingers also crossed that maybe I'm just ignorant of it and one of you guys points it out in the comments and said, why are you making the tutorial when they already do this? You didn't know they were doing it, blah, blah, blah. Scrolling down more, disable connecting to Dropbox via SSL only if export is failing. Basically what that means is that if All-in-One is having trouble connecting to Dropbox securely, it will stop the secure connection and just finish your backup unsecurely. I never check this box because security is super important. And even a little website like ours, you never know who is going to try an exploit and take advantage of it to, toss something in and get into other sites and get into other user accounts. And there's so many things that you can do. Never have the impression that because my site isn't as popular as other sites that hackers and bots still aren't trying to get into it, because it's a network. If they can get into your site, then they can also use your site to spam other sites, to play a part in infecting other sites. It's a dangerous, it's a nasty cycle. So we always want to stay secure. Next, I have the destination folder. It created this automatically for me. You can change it and select another one if you like, but I don't. There's no reason to. Send an email when the backup is complete. I don't usually check this because no news is good news, and I've found that All-in-One is really great at communicating when a backup fails. So I typically just send an email if the backup fails. If something is broken, I want to know about it. If everything's working as it should be, then cool beans. I'll check probably once a month. I'll go in and make sure that everything, when I'm doing my routine monthly maintenance checks, I'll go in and check and make sure that all the backups are indeed working correctly. But I definitely want to know immediately if there is a backup that fails so that I can address that issue and get it sorted pretty quickly. Retention settings. So how many backups do you keep? Normally I keep it at 8, but for my own sites, I keep it at 2. If you're in a church site, I would recommend at least doing 4 weeks, because many churches, you're going to have volunteers and multiple people working on the website. And so if something happens, maybe someone 3 weeks ago just added all the events for the quarter. You don't want to lose those. I don't know, stuff like that happens where stuff we did recently, what am I trying to say, Andrew? Essentially, I want to make sure that if something happens now, that I have backups that I'm able to choose from, because sometimes you don't have time. Like maybe that's something that you haven't built into your schedule, the ability to go on your website every week and do the weekly kind of maintenance checks that you need to do. Maybe it's something you only have time to do once a month. And so maybe your site's been broke for a while, and instead of telling you or emailing the office, they just said, well, I'm going to go to Facebook and people don't seem to take the time often to let you know when their website's down, because it's not their problem, it's yours. And so I like to keep extra backups in case something happens and the site's actually been down for a while. In case that happens, I can restore back to the best backup I can. Man, I just fumbled all the way through that retention piece. I know I don't limit the total size. I'm still fumbling. I don't limit the total size of backups because I don't really need to. None of my sites are like 8 gigabytes. Most of my sites that have been around for a few years are going to be in the 750 to 1 gigabyte range, 750 megabytes to 1 gigabyte range. And then I remove backups after 60 days. So I keep the most 4 recent, and then these seem kind of redundant, but I don't know. They seem kind of redundant, and maybe in some sense they are. It's usually why I keep 8 backups, and months have 31 days, and I'm doing it weekly. So 8 times 7 is 54. Is that right? Yeah. No. 56. 56 days. I don't want to keep anything more than 60. Maybe I don't want to keep anything more than 50. It's all, hodgepodge. Whatever you want to do here, that's what you do. But I would definitely always keep this 2 or more, and I would always keep this 14 days or more. Transfer settings, I usually keep it somewhere in the middle. This just affects the speed at which your site is talking to Dropbox, and the speed at which and the bandwidth that it eats up. And since my backup is at 11:30, I don't mind that it takes a little bit of time, so I don't have it all the way up here. And B, if someone is on my site, if I had it all the way up here, maybe a bunch of people in Singapore decided to, or the Philippines decided to visit my site at the same time. I don't want it to their experience to be impacted, so I do it late at night, and then I keep it somewhere in the middle. And then I'm going to update this. It says my settings have been saved, and here I'm gonna look at a few things here. One, if anytime that you're getting ready to make changes on your website, significant changes, especially new plugins, new tools, and things being added, other than just like text and image changes, you want to create a backup. So what I do is I create a backup here, and I download it to my computer. I'm going to stop that because I don't want to do this right now. Or the other thing you can do is, instead of going to the backups and creating one there, I export to file. And so I export it. When you export a site, it creates a backup to a file, downloads it to your computer, or you can also export it to Dropbox. So you can export a file to Dropbox. It'll run the backup here, and then once the backup to Dropbox is done being run, then you can make all the changes to your site. Usually changes to the site are what break the site in the first place. When you're doing some significant maintenance or starting a bunch of new tools and things like that, that's when things get broken, and so that's when you need one of these backups to have. I'm going to go ahead and stop this export. And if I want to import a backup, I can import from Dropbox, and this is going to pull up a list of all the sites I currently have. I'm in the process of moving to all-in-one because I'm liking it so much. So luckily, I don't have to scroll a long way to see which church or which site I need to restore the backup from. I didn't finish that backup a minute ago, so I don't have any folders or files on the list yet. But if I did, I could open it with a click, and I could restore it right there, and it would be whatever the most recent backup that I've made. So that's it. Backups are not scary. They're not crazy to manage. It's just a matter of getting a good tool like all-in-one migration, and then shelling out for the extension, one-time price for all the extensions, and you're good for life. I love the Dropbox extension. You may like another. And then setting it up, you can have it set up in a few minutes. There's literally no reason why you should not have an on-site backup solution in addition to whatever your host server-side solution is as well. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you heed my advice and get a backup plugin for your website. I also want to recommend to you something like Updraft Plus. It's another great plugin to check out. iThemes has a plugin as well that I will link to in the description for this video. But I made this video because all-in-one has become my favorite. Actually, I'm not going to say what I'm moving away from because it's a good plugin as well, a good solution for you. I just found that all-in-one worked better with the number of websites that I tend to work with. Again, enjoy this video. If you haven't, subscribe. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about backups in general, drop them in the comments or leave a comment on the blog post, and we'll see you soon.